Good morning everyone. So for this video, we will be continuing yung discussion natin on data collection process. Previously, we discussed the different methods of data collection. So in the topic or in that video, we discussed kung ano-ano yung mga general ways of collecting or gathering data. So in this video naman, we will go into details dun sa ating probability sampling. Okay? So yung ating sampling methods are generally divided into two areas. We have yung random or the probability sampling, and then yung pangalawang area, we have the non-random or the non-probability sampling methods. Okay? So generally dalawang areas na yan. However, some references are referring to another third area, which is yung mixed sampling natin. Okay? So mixed sampling shares some properties na nasa random and properties na andun din sa non-random. Mix nga. So, mixed properties ng dalawang general areas andun sa ating mixed sampling na methods. Okay? So, generally, dalawa nga. Okay? So, under probability, we have stratified, simple, and cluster. Yung ating systematic, some references are putting that under sa probability. Some naman are putting it under mixed sampling, yung ating systematic sampling methods. Okay? So, depende on how the systematic sampling method is done, pwede nga siyang mixed sampling. Okay? So, in the next video na, we will discuss more on that sa systematic sampling. But for now, focus muna tayo sa probability sampling, which is yung stratified, cluster, and simple random. Okay? So, yung pangalawang broad area naman ng sampling, we have non-probability. So, under dito, we have convenience sampling, snowball sampling, judgment sampling, and quota sampling. Okay? So, itong lahat will be discussed sa ating next na video. Okay? So, kailan masasabing random or probability sampling yung ating sampling method? Okay? So, ano yung difference ng random sa non-random na sampling design? Okay? So, under a random or probability sampling design, each element in the population has an equal and independent chance of selection in the sample. Okay? So, lahat ng elements sa population may equal and independent chance. Okay, dalawang criteria yan na dapat masatisfy before masabing random or probability sampling yung ating design. Okay? So, anong ibig sabihin ng equal? Okay? Equal means the probability of selection of each element in the population is the same. Kaya equal, the same, pantay, walang lamangan, fair, no? Lahat-lahat ng elements pwedeng mapili. Okay? That is, the choice of an element in the sample is not influenced by other consideration. Okay? So, walang certain criteria. Okay? So, lahat ay may chance na mapili. Okay? So, let's say meron tayong isang classroom na may 50 students. Okay? So, yung ating population are the 50 students. However, for our sampling, kukuha lang tayo ng 5 students or 5 samples. Okay? So, 5 samples out of the 50 students na population. Okay? So, 5 kukunin dun sa 50. Okay? Pag sinabing equal, lahat ng 50 students na yan pwedeng mapili. Lahat sila may equal, may same, may pareho na chance na mapili ng maging part ng 5 na samples. Okay? Walang other consideration, walang mga other criteria, no? Walang conditions na kailangan na isatisfy para siya mapili. Lahat pwedeng piliin or lahat pwedeng mapili. Okay? So, yan yung equal. Okay? Walang other considerations. Lahat may chance na mapili. Okay? Yung independent naman, it means that the choice of one element is not dependent upon the choice of another element in the sampling process. That is, the selection or rejection of one element does not affect the inclusion or exclusion of another. Okay, independent. Okay? Hindi porket napili ang isa, dapat piliin na yung isa. Okay, so going back dun sa ating example, 50 students, pipili ng 5. Okay, so pag napili na ang isang student, okay, so 4 na lang yung slots na natitira, lahat pa rin ng natirang students may chance na mapili dun sa 4 na lang na slots. Okay? nagiging dependent siya, let's say yung unang nabunot, may kondisyon, pag nabunot siya or napili siya, dapat sabay rin or mapipili rin yung kanyang kaibigan ba, girlfriend, or kasintahan. Okay? So, nagiging dependent na because may condition, pag napili siya, dapat yung isa mapili rin. Okay? So, dependent na sila sa isa't isa. So, nababalidate na yung criteria na independent. Okay? So, dapat independent. Okay? Hindi porket napili ang isa, may kasama na siya na iba. Okay? So, yan yung criteria ng random or probability sampling. Equal, lahat may chance na mapili. Independent, walang condition na kailangan i-met or yung pagkapili ng isa is not dependent upon another one na napili. Okay? So, dapat equal and independent yung ating mga samples. Okay? So, a sample can only be considered a random or probability sample and representative of the population under study if these conditions are met. Okay? So, masasabing random sample siya or representative. Okay? Or tamang reflection or tamang mag-reflect or mag-represent sa population kung random sample siya. Kung equally selected siya and independently selected yung ating sample. Okay? So, kasi nga walang bias, walang fair. No? Ay, walang fair. Walang bias, walang error, no? At fair yung pagkakapili ng ating samples. Okay? So, equal and independent. Okay? So, ano yung advantages ng random or probability samples? Number one, as they represent the total sampling population, the inferences drawn from such samples can be generalized to the total sampling population. Yung result, pwedeng gawing conclusion or generalization para sa population. Okay? Because fair, yung pagkakapili, equally and independently, yung pagkapili ng mga samples, yung magiging result ng research or study will reflect or magandang data as conclusion or generalization or to reflect the population. Okay? And then some statistical tests based upon the theory of probability can be applied only to data collected from random samples. Okay? Some tests, yung one of their criteria is dapat yung data is randomly sampled. Okay? So, hindi siya pwedeng i-conduct yung statistical test na yan pag hindi na-satisfy yung random selection na criteria. Okay? And some of these tests are important for establishing conclusive correlation. Okay? So, yun, magiging conclusive yung ating result pag random or probability yung ating samples na napili. So, ano-ano yung mga specific methods of random or probability sampling methods? Yung pinaka-common is a simple random sampling. Okay? So, ito naman parang draw lots. Okay? May mga names at pipili tayo by drawing lots. That is a simple random sampling. Okay? So, a simple random sample is a sample selected in such a way that every possible sample of the same size is equally likely to be chosen. Example, drawing 3 names from a box containing all names of the students in the class is an example of a simple random sample. And any group of 3 names is as equally likely as picking any other group of 3 names. Okay? So, yan, panahon kanina. So, lahat ng mga names, isusulat sa papel, tutupuin or i-roll yung papel, ilalagay sa baso ba or sa cup, and then saka isi-shake, and then pipili ng 3 names. Okay? So, random yung pagkakapili. Simple random. Nag-draw lots lang tayo dun sa mga names. Okay? So, ang simple random sampling is very easy to define. Madaling i-define, madaling intindihin. Pero practically, mahirap siyang gawin. It is very, very difficult to do. Example, if you want to select 50 mango trees sa 100 hectare farms, mahirap yan. Nang una, malawak ang 100 hectare na farm. Maraming trees yan. And it is quite difficult to assign names, no? Or mga code names dun sa ating trees, then saka sila ilalagay sa ating mga papers at saka i-draw lots. Okay? So, mahirap siya. What if hundreds or thousands trees yan? So, masyadong maraming papel, no? Another one is yung random sample of 5 students, 5 students sa isang university. Let's say 10,000 students ang university na yan. 5 lang yung pipiliin. Okay? So masyadong marami ang 10,000 para pilian lang ng 5. Okay? Madaling i-define pero mahirap gawin practically. Okay? So yan, the first method sa simple random sampling is pag-draw lots. Another possible method or another option is yung paggamit ng random numbers. Okay? So example, the PSAE secretary must choose a sample of 5 out of 11 early registrants in a convention. Okay? So pipili ng 5 out sa 11 na mga early birds sa isang convention. So paano niya pipiliin? Okay? So instead of drawing lots, pwede ang random numbers. Okay? So yung ating random numbers, pwede makikita sa likod ng mga statistical books, or mas convenient if we use our calculator. Okay? So mostly sa ating calculator, we could see the random number button sa baba ng ating calculator. Normally nasa period siya na button. And then just ito sa calculator ko, we have shift and then we have the random numbers. And ito yung lalabas, RAN, then the number sign. Okay, if we press equal, magbibigay siya ng mga numbers. Random na yan, whatever number yung ibibigay ng calculator. So just press equals, magbibigay yan ng random numbers. Okay? So assuming dito sa ating sample, so we have 11 persons. Una-una si Baker. So by pressing the random numbers, ito yung lumabas, 0.87, 487. And then si George naman, next na pag-press ng random numbers, ito yung number niya and so on. Okay, so lahat sila may random numbers niya. So ang gagawin lang is pagsusunurin, i-order yung ating mga random numbers. In this case, from highest to lowest. Okay? So, ang nangyari, si Mark yung may lowest na random number, followed by Ralph na 0.11597, and so on. Yung pinakamalaking number is si George, 0.89068. Okay? So, ayan, napagpasunod-sunod na sila from lowest to highest. Okay? So, paano pipili? So, in this case, yung example natin, yung 5 lowest yung pinili. Okay? So, yung person na may 5 lowest na random numbers, sila yung napili na samples. Okay? So, depende yan sa researchers. No? If he or she selects yung 5 lowest or 5 highest and so on. Okay? Depende sa researcher yan. However, dapat sa umpisa pa lang na pagdesisyonan na. Okay? Na 5 highest or 5 lowest. Hindi siya after na na-generate ng random numbers because may bias na kung after yung decision. So, before pa nagbigay ng random numbers, merong sampling plan, merong method na 5 lowest. Okay? So, sa example nga natin, 5 lowest random numbers, sila yung ating sample. Okay? So, ganyan kadali ang simple random sampling. Okay? We do draw lots or we give random numbers and then saka tayo pipili ng mga samples. Okay? Then, another method is yung stratified. Okay? Very ideal siya kung masyadong malaki or malawak yung ating consideration, okay? Yung ating population, okay? So what we do is to group them, i-groupo sila into different stratum or strata, okay? So stratified random sample is obtained by separating, okay? So we separate the population into mutually exclusive sets, okay? Pag sinabing mutually exclusive, hindi, yung isang element hindi pwedeng mag-cross from one set papuntang another set. Okay? So, mutually exclusive dapat yung set or strata and then drawing simple random from each stratum. Okay? So, ayan, ang gagawin is i-group muna. Then, yung mga groups, saka sila i-draw lots or isi-simple random sampling. Okay? Pag may napili na group, pwedeng i-divide pa siya into subgroups, then saka pagpipilian. Then, pag napili na ang group, pwedeng i-divide pa rin. Okay, just like sa ating example dyan. Okay, so assuming yung ating strata 1 is gender, yung category. So, male and female lang. Okay, so these are mutually exclusive. Because pag male ang tao, male siya. Pag female siya, female siya. So both sets are mutually exclusive. Hindi pwede yung isang name nasa male, nasa female din. Okay, so dapat separate. Okay? So yan, okay? So our first strata is gender. Okay? So magdo-draw lots tayo ng male and female. Then it so happen pag draw lots ang lumabas is female. Okay? So, ayan, pag masyadong marami pa ang female, pwedeng i-divide pa siya into groups. Okay? So, in this case, age level naman. Merong below 20, merong 20 to 30, 31 to 40, hanggang greater than 60. Okay? So, we have 2, 4, 6 groups. Okay? So, yung 6 groups na yan, i-draw lots ulit or isi-simple random. Okay? But assuming ang napili is yung 20 to 30. Okay? So ibig sabihin ito na yung ating final na group. Okay? So let's say marami pa rin ang nasa 20 to 30, we could divide that further into occupational na group. Okay? Merong professional, merong clerical, merong blue collar, and then others. Okay? So ang group i-divide into, ang 20 to 30 group i-divide into 4 groups, okay, based on occupation. And this will now be our final na stratum, okay, or mga groups. Okay? So yan yung stratified. We group that, pipilian ng groups, then isa-subdivide pa into groups kung marami, and so on, until matitrim down or kukunti na lang yung ating sample. Okay? So lahat ng way of selecting the groups is simple random or draw lots. Kaya walang bias, walang error, at fair yung ating pagkakapili. Okay? So we can acquire information about the total population, make inferences within a stratum, or make comparisons across strata. Okay? So yun yung sa ating example kanina, yung ating group, we have professional, clerical, blue collar, and others, assuming na ito yung ating mga categories na. Okay? So, out of the groups, pwedeng isang group ang piliin or pwedeng may certain percentage sa ating groups yung ating pipiliin. Okay? So, for each group, merong mga percentage, ira-randomize sila para mapili yung mga final sampling elements natin. Okay? So, after the population has been stratified, we can use the simple random sampling to generate the complete sample. Okay? So, yun yung stratified sampling. We group that, randomize the group, select randomly sa groups, and then divide that further into groups pa. Okay? Then, the last of our probability sampling is yung cluster sampling. Ang cluster sampling is very similar to stratified. Okay? So, almost the same. Okay? So, a cluster sample is a simple random of groups or cluster. Groups pa rin siya or clusters of elements. Okay? Versus a very simple random sample of individual objects. This method is useful when it is difficult or costly to develop a complete list of the population members or when the population elements are widely dispersed geographically. Okay? So, yung cluster groupings pa rin. Okay? Ang difference lang, yung groupings natin walang particular na category. Kanina sa stratified may category, may gender. Okay? So, ang next category is yung age bracket. Okay? Sa cluster wala. We simply group them. Okay? So, kailan siya magiging practical? Kung mahirap mag-develop ng list, if we do not know the names of the totality or lahat ng mga sampling elements sa population, pwede ang cluster sampling. Okay? Example ng cluster sampling is yung mga barangay-barangay. Okay? Let's say yung ating pag-aralan isang buong General Santos City. So that is our population, buong Gensan. No? Instead of dividing Gensan into gender, male, female, why not we divide that into barangay? So we have 26 barangay within Gensan. So out of the 26 barangay, simple random tayo, okay? Magdo-draw lots ng mga barangay. Okay, let's say ang napili Fatima, Kalumpang, and Labangal. Okay? Out naman sa kanila, pipiliin naman yung mga puro. Okay? I-draw lots ang mga puro. Okay? So, groupings pa rin siya, pero walang category yung ating groupings. Okay? So ang problema lang with the cluster sampling, it may increase the sampling error. Kasi may mga similarities among cluster members. Halimbawa, dun sa barangay, so pwede ang isang barangay maraming lalaki, ang kabilang barangay is maraming lalaki din. Okay? So in a way, possible na may sampling error because majority is nagiging lalaki na. Okay? So that is yung ating cluster sampling. Okay? So, ulit, tatlo yung ating probability sampling. We have ang simple random, simpleng draw lots, or simpleng pag-create ng random numbers. Yung stratified, we group them. At ang ating group may category. Okay, example ng category, we have gender or sex, pwede age level, or pwede income level. Okay, so groupings ang ating stratified. Similar to stratified is ang cluster groupings din. However, walang category yung ating cluster. We simply group a number of respondents or sampling elements. Okay? And those are our three sampling or random sampling methods. Okay, in our next video, we will discuss naman yung pangalawang general or broad area ng sampling method. We have ang non-random or the non-probability sampling design. So please check out the next video.